James and Adie, telling you how it is. No retreat, no surrender, no quarter given, no holds barred. The Grumpy Guide.
It's fucking shit!
I might as well wipe my ass.
Okay, hello, this is James.
This is Adie.
We're going to have a nice little rip into Highlander 2, the Renegade cut. The original film was released in 1991 as Highlander 2, The Quickening. This was then re-edited into a more realistic version in that they removed references to the planet Zeist from this version of the film. So effectively what you'll see and hear on your version when you play it is that they'll be talking more about time as opposed to space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just a little bit more. It makes more sense than the crap they put before it, let's put it that way. All right.
Definitely. So what we're seeing now, we've got the city street, which is in the current day, 2024, as they've said, and we've got a bit of Wagner playing at the moment, and it will cut shortly into the opera, which is one of the acts of the Ring des Nibelungen. So there's quite a comical cut as well, isn't there, I think, if we remember correctly, with the O from some sign?
Yeah, just a little bit. I remember, I love Russell Mulcahy, the guy who did the direction for this. He's done quite a few films, mainly with the young man himself, Christopher Lambert. And one of my favourite ones is a film called Resurrection, which I'll mention more later, but he seems to have a good relationship with, well, in my opinion, with Christopher Lambert's films. So, a bit of a shame to see what they followed up the absolute classic Highlander was.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about I think it's Russell Mulcahy, or Mulcahy, how you want to pronounce it, but he was, I'm not sure if he's still alive, I think he is, but he was more of a, well, here we've got the titles as well, Highlander 2 coming up, but he was more of a music video director. In fact, I think he did a lot of work for Duran Duran during the early 1980s. I think he might have done the Wild Boys video. So here we go, this is the O that's going to cut straight into the red lips of the opera singer, which is, one of the more amusing types of cuts that he chose. I felt that it didn't quite work, but at least they were trying something different. And again, that kind of gives you reference to the way that Russell directed the first original Highlander film, in that he did lots of nice transitions in terms of panning, tracking shots, which then moved into another scene.
You're right, he's a very visual director, which is why I like him. He reminds me more of this day's a visual director like Michael Bay or somebody like that, except without the massive action to go with it. But I totally agree there. He's a very visual director. I love visual directors because they're trying harder, instead of some boring directors out there that just can't be bothered.
Yeah, it's always nice to see that some thought's gone behind a transition from one scene to another. And I know that in the Star Wars films the transitions were always really good. They're quite iconic transitions and were copied then. And a lot of films subsequently copied the style that Russell Mulcahy used for transitions. The way that they pan, for example, up into the roof of the Madison Square Garden car park, and then you emerge behind the wall at Eilean Castle in Scotland in 1536, which is supposed to be Dunvegan Castle really, because it's the Clan MacLeod. But and it's called Glamis Castle in the book. I think it's the Greg Wyden book. It's called Glamis Castle, which is a completely different castle entirely. It was where I think the Queen Mother was born, in Glamis or something. But so what we're seeing now is we're seeing this act of Wagner opera. We're now tracking across the opera house. It looks like it's got some kind of plastic sheeting to protect it. Looks like there's water dripping into it. It's a very run-down place. And eventually what we'll do is we'll do a tracking shot back across to the box where an elderly Conor McLeod is sitting. You can see him slumped. I think he's asleep because he's an old guy. Obviously, he won the prize in the first film, and his prize was to live and grow old. And obviously that's what's happened to him here. He's just been awoken by the very loud noise of the opera.
I love the choice of voice he uses for this old man as well.
Very strange, little wheezy voice, isn't it?
I understand what you want to do.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. I love it. Me personally, this thing is.
But at least he tried something.
Yeah. I mean, I've never understood why everyone thinks that an older person suddenly, especially an actor who's playing an older person, always drop into the
"Oh, hello everyone, I'm old."
Yeah. You know, and if you listen to people when they get older, their voices don't get really that old, it just gets deeper.
Yeah, generally old men's voices tend to lose a bit of resonance, but they deepen as well. And I think what we're getting here is we're getting Ramirez speaking to Conor McLeod and telling him to remember. But in the original Highlander, the quickening, he says, "Remember your home, the planet Zeist, 400 years ago or 500 years ago." And then he talks about remembering being on the planet and about battling Katana, but he doesn't mention the planet Zeist in this version, which, you know, is much better. And we'll see a nice cutaway there, nice segue from one shot to another. This is supposedly Earth now. This isn't the planet Zeist anymore. This is just a very long time ago, as it says here, with a crashed spaceship. You could argue that maybe there's some form of ancient civilization that's now been wiped out, and, you know, a very long time ago, could be many thousands of years.
Possibly.
So now they're all gathering. This sequence here is the first time we're introduced to the nature of the quickening for this film. And the way that it's explaining it in terms of this setting is that Ramirez is kind of like a leader of a revolutionary group who are rising up against General Katana.
Who's an idiot.
Yeah, who's played by Michael Ironside and really hams it up, and, you know, like Clancy Brown did when he played the Kurgan in the original film.
Yeah, but you've got to love that for it. You know what I mean? Michael Ironside, what a guy. I can watch him in anything.
He's been in loads of things. I mean, most iconic.
The bad guy as well.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. Yeah, kind of, I suppose. In Top Gun, he was kind of like a bit of a gutsy, nasty sort of trainer guy.
For me, he's most remembered for Total Recall.
Yes.
You know, with the wonderful line from Schwarzenegger at the end when he finally gets up. "I see you at the party, Richter!"
Yeah, and he chops his arms off.
Fantastic.
Which is a great scene. This, what we're seeing now, is bizarre, because Conor McLeod, which is what his name is in this, and Ramirez, to give him his full name, Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, they've got these very what's the word I'm trying to think of? They've got these names that don't really put them in the right context. Why would he be called Ramirez now and Conor McLeod is called Conor McLeod now if he's not part of the Clan McLeod yet? He's not. That hasn't happened to him yet. So I don't really understand how he can suddenly become reborn on Earth or wherever. But he's called McLeod already. It doesn't make any sense.
Like they completely forgot what they did in the first film. It's almost like bollocks to what we did there. Let's try something different. And considering you've got Russell Mackay, or however you pronounce it, actually doing this film, surely you would like at least a bit of continuity going on there. Saying, no, I'm not too sure I like this.
The thing is, that's another. That was a cut that's been used twice as well. By the way, we just saw. But what's interesting about this is a lot of people make a mistake in that a director has any real control over a story. And yes, he has from a visual sense, and, you know, all the shots and all that sort of stuff. But he had no real control over the plot line, so you can end up with a wonderful director doing an amazing visual piece of artwork, but actually let down massively by the shit plot line.
I think that depends, doesn't it? I mean, certainly with directors these days have a lot more power over
definitely.
what they're filming, like Christopher Nolan or Spielberg,
Zack Snyder, those
Zack
sorts
Snyder.
of guys. Yeah,
I think Snyder now. I don't think he did before. I think they gave him a lot of dues thanks to 300, and then they let him go off and do his own thing with Sucker Punch. And then Sucker Punch underperformed, and then they were like, we've got to reel this guy back in again, I think. And then I think now, because he's had a massive success with Man of Steel, now he's probably moved into that kind of, let's let him do what he wants, because he's obviously got something going on here that we didn't see before. And
here we go. We just sorry to interrupt. We've just seen General Katana appear in his black outfit, which is obviously, very obviously a bad guy. It doesn't really make an awful lot of sense the way they keep cutting backwards and forwards between elderly Connor McLeod. He's obviously remembering, but they do far too much of that during these sequences.
Too many cuts.
Yeah, and then it doesn't really explain that they've now been captured, that they're now captives of General Katana, but that wasn't really explained in the story. There was lots of fighting going, and then all of a sudden Katana turns up, and now they're captive.
And it's not only that either, Connor doesn't even look that bothered.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
He looks completely nonplussed about it.
Yeah, they're not even tying him up or anything like that. It's just that they say, oh, alright, okay, let's have a chat.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a weird thing. This is obviously just to show what a nasty man Katana is, because he's got these pets that are docile and sedate in the water in their element, but once he's taken them out of there, he can crush them and show that, he's a tough guy and that he's cruel.
I'm so evil.
And Connor McLeod obviously feels for those animals. He looks sad the fact that he's killed them. And that might even be a subtle reference to his Greystoke days from when he was Tarzan.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just waiting for him to go, oh, chase him down.
So we just had another cut of Connor McLeod sat in that box again, but now we've immediately cut straight back to the past again, which
doesn't make any sense.
I don't know why. They obviously did that to mask over some continuity issues that they've got in terms of timing of the film. They've just filled it with sort of B-roll shots.
Did Malaki go back and re-edit this into the Renegade cut? Or did somebody take hold of this like a fan or something and just got rid of all the...
No, I think this might have been Mr. Mulcahy himself. I think he possibly did it himself. I'm not 100%
Well, it looks like he's trying to make up for all these little bits by using shots that he really shouldn't, because it just takes you too much out of it. If you know.
He didn't do too badly, but it just doesn't quite. There was so unnecessary cuts. Maybe it was to his soundtrack. Maybe because they had to keep continuity of musical scores, they had to fill in maybe 3 seconds, and they just drop in a bit of B-roll just to keep that 3 seconds, so that they're not chopping the soundtrack to pieces, so that you're getting lumps of film score missing. What I find really difficult to reconcile between the original movie and this one, which is supposed to be kind of like a prequel/sequel, because it goes into the past and also into the future, is that in the original film, Connor McLeod asks Ramirez why it happened, why he is immortal. And Ramirez says, why does the sun come up? Or are stars just pinholes in the curtain of night? Who knows? What I do know is that because you have a special gift, men will fear you, try to drive you away like the people of your village. So in the original, Ramirez is, he's knowledgeable. He's a guy. He gives Connor McLeod guidance, but he gives him the completely opposite story to what this is telling us. He's saying, who knows? Why does the sun come up? But in this, he does know how it happened, because it was because of a rebellion and all the rest of it. And that just completely disjointed.
It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like I think if they explained that he had his memory wiped or something like that. Let's say he took a shot to the head.
Yeah.
But didn't cut it off, so he didn't die. And you could say that his memories were taken slightly. You could kind of have explained it that way, but...
Yeah, they might have... I'm not sure, you might be right. They might have made some reference to that. He said they'll always be linked. This is just a gratuitous shot to make it look like it's a rough town.
And we always love titties.
Exactly. And it always got to be a woman being roughed up, but not really roughed up. It was just kind of a bit of pushing and shoving. The streets in these films are always abandoned. It doesn't really ever make sense to me whenever they film these things.
I think it's obviously just to show how shitty it's all become.
Yeah.
Where, for a few references, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Which, let's face it, in this day and age is very much what's happening around us, if we can go political.
That's a copy off of Blade Runner as well, the little vid phone they've got in the booths. They obviously try to lift things. I mean, what I find really amusing is it's supposed to be 2024, but the tough guy city street, you know, thugs look literally like Simon Le Bon out of the Wild Boys video, you know, because it's obviously filmed in 1991, so their references were all mullets and sort of that sort of look, you know, whereas tough guys now are more likely to be hoodies with little knives and tracksuits, you know. As opposed to that, they'd just laugh if you know, we'd laugh if you saw something like that coming towards you now. So he's heading on his way to the bar, I think, Connor MacLeod. Now we've cut back to shield control, which was, I think, it was some kind of abandoned dam that had been built somewhere in, I'm not sure it was Zanzibar, or I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was some Morocco or somewhere that they found when they were scoping out the area, and they allowed them to switch on the water on and off, which was an absolute godsend for them to do this. And
that's
they
fantastic.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, what a set that would actually be to work on.
Yeah, and they were allowed to use it. It's a real installation, you know. So, you know, it was a real windfall for them, and I think they built more of it, you know, more of that location in simply because they were allowed access to it. Now we're going to be introduced to these this kind of activist group that are looking to access the Shield Corporation's statistics on the ozone layer to see whether or not what they're being told is true. They're telling the general population that the ozone layer is completely shot to shit and that is, you know, will never repair itself, and that the shield is needed to support and protect life. But in reality,
protection, basically.
In reality, exactly what they're doing is they're using the shield to hold people to ransom, and it's one of those things where they've got a monopoly over the entire planet. So it's another corporate message. Really, it's this kind of commercialism and capitalism ruling over nature and stuff. Here we're going to see a nice segue. This is very, very iconic of Mulcahy. Here we go. We've gone straight from that room down into the basement area, which is almost shot for shot the opposite of what we see from the original with the Madison Square Garden car park. They smack that person, doof, like that, off go the helmets. You all assume they're all men because, you know, we have that kind of preconception. Off comes the helmet, and there we see Virginia Madsen. Not seen her in many things really. The most memorable appearance that I can remember her in was the film of Dune. If you remember a film called Dune back in about 1983, something like that. An
extremely long sci-fi epic.
Yeah, and she was a princess who introduced it at the beginning, who's talking about her father and running the spice manufacturing on Arrakis and stuff like that. So she's kind of more memorable for that, really. I can't really think of many other things that I've actually seen her in.
I think I've seen her in a few sex scenes. That's about it.
Yeah, she was good. I think she was good for that because from a physical point of view, she does have a good body. So they obviously used her for titty shots, etc.
Just want to point out, I'm not that much of a pervert. Okay, I just remember seeing a few sex scenes. We'll leave it at that.
I am a pervert, and I can remember seeing probably the occasional breast shot of Miss Madsen. Yeah, I don't think there was very much.
On loop.
Yeah, absolutely. So now they've accessed the system, they've stolen this little, there you go, bit of a Star Wars kind of shot there, really. Quite good, really. Nice shot.
Well, that would have been a map painting, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I love the fact that it's 2024, yet the monitors are very much 1991. You know,
absolutely.
The technology is.
You never really thought that far ahead.
No, the technology is literally 1990s, only black, and probably with a bit more sort of things sellotaped onto it to make it look more bulky, look like the outfits.
That's the thing, you see. A lot of these old. It's dated very much for that kind of thing. But if you watch something like the old 80s, the next generation of Star Trek, they are actually predicting the things that were
they did really
they had
well.
iPads.
Blade Runner references again. You can see the neon signs quite a lot. You know, there was a bar sign that was sticking out as well, which was very much like Blade Runner. This is a new bit that was added. We can see here that Katana can access the future and he can see what's going on. So he knows that Connor MacLeod is an old man and all that sort of stuff. It's a bit of a weird thing why he'd need to see that, but I suspect that's the reason why they did it, is to give him a justification for sending people to go and kill Connor MacLeod to stop him from coming back. This is probably the shittest piece of the film. This is what lets down this whole recut and re-edit of this film to make it more like that they're on planet Earth only in different time zones, because these two are complete anachronisms. They are not human. I mean, you don't get people that look like half man, half hedgehog on this planet. So these people are bizarre, and this undermines the cut because they are really, you know, more alien-esque than anything.
And not to mention fucking stupid.
Yeah, they edited this as well. You notice that when you see the shield in the original version, there was a bit of animation that looked like they were hitting the shield and coming through it, whereas this just looks like Connor MacLeod can see there's a disturbance in the shield, and that maybe something's coming through the time, you know, space-time continuum type thing. We've got a piece of music, general music called A Perfect World playing, and then Connor MacLeod goes in, puts his money in and changes the song, and the song is A Kind of Magic by Queen,
which is obviously because they had it by the licence of the original film.
Yeah, so and it's a nice link in with the original. It's a little nod, really. The bar is very different to the bar in the first film, but there's, you know, in the first film they was playing 1 Year of Love from the A Kind of Magic album, and this is A Kind of Magic, obviously, to give you that reference to the original movie. And it looks like he's having his standard whiskey, although I don't think he asks for double Glenmorangie on the rocks like he did in the original film. I think he just assumed that it's just some generic whiskey. Perhaps they lost the contract with Glenmorangie and they couldn't mention it.
Or the film flopped on its arse and they went, take that out immediately.
Yeah. Oh, here we go, here he is. This guy's been in loads of stuff, more memorably in Platoon.
He was in Platoon.
He was great in Platoon.
He got some notoriety in the last 10 years, also starring in Scrubs, if anyone watched
Oh, really?
the show. Yeah,
right.
He was a main character in that.
And I think at the moment A Kind of Magic is still playing the music while she's getting changed. She's gone from political activist in a black, sleek outfit to very 1990s, and she's got MacLeod's address. You're a good boy, Jimmy, and all that sort of stuff. He's drinking his milk. I can't do his voice, but it's just really bizarre. This big fat blubbery whale woman suddenly decides to get a shitty on with him for no reason. Everybody seems to know who MacLeod is, and she's dressed up in 1940s outfit. That's never explained in this cut because they removed the voiceover of Connor MacLeod explaining. But in the Highlander 2, the Quickening, the original one, part of the dialogue is that he says that 25 years ago the shield was our saviour, now everything's going backwards, old cars, old planes, old dreams, everything's going backwards, the cure is worse than the disease. So it looks like, you know, they're using old motors, they're using old planes, and obviously, you know, for some reason people have decided to regress in terms of their clothing.
Which you think would be worse, wouldn't it, if you think about it? You've got this shield that lets nothing in or out. So think of all the carbon dioxide that's blowing up from the petrol cars and diesels and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'd want more efficient vehicles, but they obviously decide not to do that. In a minute she's going to run back and try and smash him over the head with a bottle, which is a bit bizarre. This is his regular bar, you know, why has she just decided to do this now, 25 years on from when it all kicked off? So, feel a bit sorry for him, he's just been injured. And it's not nice seeing Connor MacLeod in this situation, is it?
No,
some fucking prize. You know, he was this young, handsome guy in the first film who could go around chopping people's heads off with a wicked Masamune katana sword, and then he won the prize, and it turns out that he can grow old and die. That was very much like the Death Star. Did you just see that?
I did notice that.
Very much like the Death Star. They're looking at their massively shit monitors as well, the VDUs. They've removed the animation off here as well, so she's looking at the shield at something that flew by, but
you can't see it.
So
it makes no sense. So it just looks like she's looking at the ozone layer.
I think they just add a bit of sound to it to make it sound like that. You'll see in a minute he starts to heal, and then he says something like, "Oh no, not again," or something like that. He obviously then realises.
He remembers that something's going to happen.
He realises that because he's healing himself, he's therefore starting to become immortal. So he must therefore know that somebody's coming.
Yeah, so it means he's not the last one this time.
Exactly.
He didn't really fuck all, basically.
Yeah, and that made no sense whatsoever. They had to get around that by using this time travel get out clause, because if all the more immortals had been killed, how come some more come? Well, they have to come from the past. It just doesn't make any sense. He's just meeting Louise Marcus for the first time ever, and in a few minutes we're going to see him shag her.
In the world's biggest bullshit scene.
Yeah, it is, and he comes after about 20 seconds.
Well, he's an old man.
I mean, he's been waiting a long time.
I mean, let's face it, his balls must be the size of melons.
That's why he's got to stoop. He's dragged down by these enormous testicles.
They're like clacker noises.
Yeah.
For his trousers.
My balls are aching, Miss Marcus, or whatever he says.
You've got to feel sorry for the guy.
I can't even do his voice. I'm trying. It's like, oh my God, like that.
I'm sorry, Miss Marcus.
He's got a bit of a squeak in his voice as well, hasn't he? I can't do it. It sounds like mine sounds like a seal with laryngitis. I thought he said shit yourself then. He said suit yourself, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has got a cool voice though. Christopher Lambert has an amazing voice.
He does, yeah. He has a really, really memorable delivery style. I think part of it is the fact that he never really, and obviously he does now, but at this time, when these were filmed, his command of the English language wasn't that great.
It was actually very little. He only learned English because he did the Tarzan film.
Exactly. And I think they got away with that one because they used Ian Holm and made him a French officer who trained him to speak, and of course then he would speak with the French accent because he was mimicking. Now this, talking of bullshit scenes, this has got to be the biggest steaming pile of bollocks in the universe.
Not to mention you can see the wires. Just want to point this out.
Oh yeah, it's just, I mean, the Hedgehog twins have come to kill the Highlander.
That's another scene that I hate as well, where he gets out of the car there. He limps around like an old man all the way through the film, if you watch it. And then he opens the car door and jumps out.
But you have to think about it.
Well, that is immortality.
He's starting to get younger, isn't he? So you could argue that he starts to hobble now. When he's running, you see him there like...
I'm talking about him back to hobbling again.
Yeah, but before he was like running about, he's wheezing now. Ramirez! He starts crying out there. For some reason, even though he knows that Ramirez had his head chopped off by the Kurgan, now he knows that if he calls for Ramirez, that Ramirez will somehow appear again in times of need. I do not remember that being pointed out as a rule in the original Highlander film. If that's true, then surely he could go, oh, when I killed the Kurgan, oh shit, I said Kurgan, and then the Kurgan comes back and it starts all over again.
Exactly.
What are the rules around mentioning people? He might as well go Sunder Castigear, Kurgan, bloody anybody else that has been killed. I can't remember the names of all of them, but it's like, you've got Aman Fazil, you've got Vasilek, he mentions all these people and all of a sudden they'll all appear again. But that's, it's all washed over, isn't it?
I don't think it is. If you look at that scene earlier on, where they put their fingers in that...
Oh, maybe so, that link.
Yeah, that must be a link between those
it could
two.
be. But who's to say that the others haven't done that? They're supposed to be all linked by the quickening, aren't they? So they must have all done it at some point. This is one of those things that just doesn't make any sense. Talking about the making of this film, one thing that we need to give props to, and a massive big up, is that Christopher Lambert is a very physical actor, and he insisted on doing all of these scenes himself.
He did all his own fights.
He did all of the fight scenes. So while he's fighting with this pipe, and he fights with pipes a lot. He fought with a pipe in the first film as well, and I think even later on in subsequent Highlander films he picks up pipes. So he obviously likes to use pipes and shit. He'll be using shrubbery next. But I mean, he actually got a really massive gash to his finger, went right down to the bone, and he went off to accident and emergency, had it all bandaged, and then came back and carried on, even though he was in absolute abject pain. But this is a ridiculous scene. Their heads come off more easily than fucking a Cindy doll. all you've got to do is probably just, you know,
Flick it.
And it'll fall off. You'll see it in a minute. And you know, they never seem to get out of the way. It's kind of like, oh, I've fallen under a bus, I won't move, I'll just have my head cut off. So you'll see that in a bit, which is, you know, absolutely ridiculous. They had those glasses on. For some reason the water got all over it, so he threw the glasses off, so he doesn't need the glasses. Don't understand why that is. And here you go, look, then there, off comes his head. So that's that. And now we're going to get a bit of quickening. Now, to be fair though, the special effects for the quickening on this film are really good. They're loads better than the TV series, which was shit with the special effects. These are really good. Not as good as the original film, but all the same, the effect is good, and it looks like, you know.
Well, to be fair, I mean,
proper
looking at this
electricity.
film, they obviously dumped a shitload of money into this film.
Oh, definitely. It would have been quite a big budget back in the 90s.
Yeah, I think so. We're looking at probably a $15-20 million pick.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the stats are, but yeah, I would be very surprised if it was done on a cheap, you know, it doesn't look cheap. You know, the pyrotechnics alone would have cost a fortune, blowing shit up, etc. So lots of breaking glass and explosions, which is iconic for Highlander. You've got to have that. This is a weird thing. He starts stumbling about backwards, doing something weird, and then I think he kind of crouches down or something. I can't remember. There you go. That skids around and blows up, and we'll see a massive explosion in a minute. Again, there's another reference to red lips. Like we saw with the O in opera with the red lips on. So Russell Mulcahy is using quite a lot of references to that.
I think he's saying he just likes lips.
He does, yeah.
That's it. He's got an oral fixation like most men.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. So we've got a big wall of flames, and out of it emerges a young Connor MacLeod is the Clan MacLeod.
He looks awesome though, doesn't he?
He does.
Well, I love Christopher Lambert.
He looks great.
He looks like he's going to kick your ass. He's got that really deadpan stare.
He has hooded eyes, so his eyebrows are very his forehead is very low over his eyes, so he has a very kind of intense stare, which makes him look quite cool when he's ready for action. There you go. Any second now he's gonna start. He got hit, doesn't give a shit because he's immortal again, and it's time to kick ass again. This is weird. This was all done with wires, and again Christopher Lambert did all this himself from the stunts. Wires all over the place, and I think at some point the wires snapped or he got stuck up there for quite a while. But none of this is superimposition. All of this is wires, which is quite impressive.
And I love wire work. You know,
Definitely.
I do. I think wire work it just makes it more realistic for me.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, because it puts the actor. I mean, that's been sped up, but it puts the actor physically in the scene. Whereas CGI, no matter how good it is, at the moment, circa 2014, CGI cannot do that convincingly because there's always lighting issues.
If you don't, anyone who's seen Man of Steel will agree with that. As cool as the shots look, it didn't look half as good as watching, say, Christopher Reeve fly on a wire. For me, like in Superman 3, there's a shot right near the end with wire work where he says goodbye to Richard Pryor, and they do it all in one big long shot. And then he says, "Okay, so long," and you literally see in one shot he must go about 70 feet, bank, and then fly off the camera.
Oh,
it's all
cool.
done in one. It just looked absolutely amazing. So for me, wire work is a very, very, very close love for wire work in my heart for that, and it just doesn't look as good anymore.
Definitely.
Why, you going somewhere?
This is good. They do some nice lighting on his eyes, I think, here. When he looks back, they've kind of lit up his eyes, which looks pretty cool. And again, that's a visual reference to the first film when he was sat at watching the wrestling at Madison Square Garden the first time we see Conor McLeod after the opening titles is that he's sat in the crowd in his overcoat, and the first thing you see about him is that you have this flash of light across his eyes, which it just light him up, which shows that he's kind of like an important focus for that
it's
for
very
that
Tim
scene.
Burton-esque, I think. I think Tim Burton kind of coined that kind of look for like the Addams Family. He used it on Morticia Addams quite a lot, didn't he? Where he would light up the eyes, which
I mean, Mulcahy did that before Burton with the Addams Family, though, because obviously Highlander, the first film, was 1985, released in 86, I think, but actually filmed in 85. And Addams Family for Tim Burton would have been something like 89, 90, maybe 91,
so,
perhaps, maybe even 92. See, his head just came straight off then, which is ridiculous. And he's just holding the cable for a bit for some reason, and then gratuitously just showing a body on fire. I mean, way too long a shot. They obviously, and all this lot, I mean, they spent probably about 30 seconds on just showing that body burning. I mean, cut back to it as well, just to make sure that it's doubly cooked.
It must have been a really expensive model, that's all I can say.
Yeah, the person that made it just wanted to have some proper kudos for it. Here we go, Ramirez! And then what you're going to get is this big flash flying up onto the shield. And I think in the original film this thing bounces off the shield and drops down. I'm not sure if it does the same thing in this Renegade cut. Yeah, it skims off it. And then we cut to supposedly Glencoe in Scotland with a scene from Hamlet. Obviously a very fake skull. I was kind of hoping that skull would have been Ramirez's, and that he would have appeared in that guy's hand.
That would have been really good.
That would have been quite cool, because he did have his head cut off, so at some point, you know, somebody may have retrieved the skull, but they didn't do that. This is bizarre, the way that this guy on the stage calls him a shithead. I don't think that would happen if you saw somebody just appear in front of you. You wouldn't be calling them a shithead, I don't think.
Like us, we'd probably try and get a picture. But
yeah, definitely. It just doesn't make any sense. But Connery, you can't blame him. He's hamming this right up, but he does a fantastic job, doesn't he?
To be fair, it's Sean Connery. Let him do it once. You know, yeah.
But he just reprises that Ramirez role in an instant. I mean, there's obviously a lot of Connery in Ramirez, and you know, perhaps even they cast him originally with Connery in mind for the first time around. But it's really good, and what's your fucking game, shithead? I mean, it's just ridiculous. What's a shithead? Which is
it's comic relief, isn't it? That's what it is in this film. It's kind of reduced to the comic relief.
Yeah, and he's realising that it's a play, and you can understand that he will do that because, you know, drama was a popular thing in the 15th century and, you know, before, or 16th century and before. So he will have understood this. He takes the sword, which would have, in my opinion, been a prop sword as opposed to a real blade. It looks like a basket-hilted rapier as well, I think, that he's taken.
I'm not even sure you'd know, though, would he?
No, I don't think so. So, and this is when he catches a glimpse. And I think he says something like, "Rather glad the magic still works," or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, that's it. Rather glad the magic works. And nearly gets run down. You know, by rights, his head should have come off at that stage because the other ones come off. You know, all they've got to do is pick their nose and their head comes off. So, but you can see there it says rap, and that's very similar in terms of font to opera. So there's references to that being a similar establishment. Obviously, the juxtaposition between rap and opera, and there's kind of a crazy fucked up world.
Biggest, stupidest scene it ever put to film.
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. Obviously she saw him change, so she wants to touch him, which, you know, to be fair, you probably would if you saw somebody go from like 90 to 28 in 30 seconds. But, you know, I'm Conor McLeod of the Clan McLeod. But is he really? Because he came from 1,000 years ago when he was called MacLeod, but he wasn't part of the Clan MacLeod at that stage. So is he really lying to her, and that he should really be saying I'm a revolutionary from 1,000 years ago when I haven't got any particular origins because it hasn't been explained properly? See you later. Oh, let's have a snog.
Oh, stop it!
That's it. Is tongue sandwich straight away. I mean, what kind of slut is she? She's known him for 5 minutes, and she goes, and she's gonna allow him to penetrate her. I mean, I've met some easy women in my life, but fucking hell, where's she from? I mean, look at this. Straight off.
Obviously, the quickening gives you the power to get women into bed.
Yeah. And also, this is why it's called the quickening, because he comes in 10 seconds, and that's the downside
Absolutely.
to the quickening.
And there's only
it's the two quickening.
It just doesn't make sense. There's only one person who can do this, and that's Sir Roger Moore as James Bond, who can walk into any room, say something like in, I believe it's Moonraker, where he sits down...
attempting re-entry.
Yeah, well, he sits down with this woman, and he goes, so, what can you do for 5 hours in Rio if you don't sand her? And he's literally met her about 2 minutes ago when he's in her pants. You know?
So that's it. We've done it now. He's come, and now he's taken her back to his flat, which is a bit of a bizarre thing. Why didn't he take her back to his flat first and have sex with her, rather than up against a wall in some fucking alley?
Because it's been 90 fucking years since he's had some pussy. Yeah. That's obviously why he obviously needs to get his rocks off. His shrivelling little willy has just grown back into a proper...
And she goes, oh, how did that happen? He goes, hey, it's a kind of magic.
Absolutely.
So he's explaining to her now, or she explains, and he goes something like that or whatever. This is a bizarre thing that they're talking about. She says something about, you know, you're mortal now, but you were immortal before, and when somebody comes back from there, you become mortal. You become immortal again. But it's stupid.
It's not only that. You just sit and take it in and believe it straight away.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
It's ridiculous. There's especially the way that she just accepts that this guy is going to live forever, unless, of course, some certain sort of stipulations are met in terms of this kind of immortal contract that they've got. She's explaining here that Connor MacLeod can help her to expose the truth about what's really happening at the Shield Corporation. So she's effectively trying to recruit him and get him to take the system down from the inside. Now we've got Ramirez, and this is what I find really unusual about this. I mean, this is funny, he does a little dancing next to the cameras. But what I find really amusing about this is, why is he looking to get a new outfit? Why is he bothered?
I'm not even sure he was, to be fair. I think he was just walking through and saw something he liked.
You think so?
That's more than likely it. I mean, look, he wasn't actually specific. He's walked past this shop, and now all of a sudden he's like, ooh, I'm going to go in. So
yeah, that guy said that they're excellent threads. I suppose he didn't really understand. And he said, excellent threads, dude, which is like a real 90s thing to say. If you said that in 2024, people would probably vomit on you.
Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I've come to get a new outfit, or I would like a suit of clothes, or whatever.
I would like a suit of colour.
Yeah. And where are the oldest gentleman's tailor in Scotland? Well, then I've come to the right place, since I am without doubt the oldest gentleman in Scotland. And he's like, yeah, if you say so. Yeah, whatever.
It just still screams James Bond, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But, you know, the guy has a beard and a really long silly wig, but you still think James Bond.
Yeah, he's cool. A suit may take several weeks to complete. And he's like, no, it's going to be fucking, 15 seconds if I give you this pearl off my ear, mate. There you go, and just gets the pearl, and he just goes, yeah, it's fine, yeah. I'm not going to be bothered about where that's come from. We don't have any security checks. It's only 2024 after all.
And not only that, he seems to know it's real straight away. So this must happen quite a lot.
Yeah.
People walk in and just give them jewels for clothes.
Yeah, in fact, you are the 15th immortal that we've had in today that wanted a suit of clothes. And he's just got that sword. I mean, why aren't they calling the police? This man has like a 3-foot long flipping basket-hilted rapier. Ridiculous. The music they play here is something like William Tell Overture or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the William Tell Overture.
To show that it's been done quickly. And
which just cheapens the scene.
And this bowing and and the way that he addresses the camera look. He sort of stared straight at the camera and said it. It's almost you know, sending itself up. It's absolutely vomitous. And what's bizarre as well is they take so long. I don't understand why they took so long and laboured this scene. You know, it's a few minutes out of the film. In a modern film now, 2014, a modern film would not spend 5-6 minutes on getting a suit.
I don't think it's just that either. It's obviously filler for the rest of the film.
It is, isn't
because
it?
if you think about it, the storyline's actually quite thin.
And this is crazy. Somewhere over the Atlantic.
Oh, it's not just that. How the hell did he get on the plane in the first place?
Exactly.
Apparently you don't need a passport back then. Well, you don't need a passport in 2024.
No,
apparently.
to go from Scotland to America, you don't need a passport or any form of identification. But you do notice that some of his jewellery's gone and other earrings gone, so maybe he's just bribed people. I don't know. They're talking about seeing blue sky now. He's seen it, obviously. He talks about the clouds and stuff, you know, which is fair enough. She's never seen them because she's clearly, according to this, she must be at least 25 or younger because the shield was put up 25
which
years
basically means she was in her dad's balls when he made this shield.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite disgusting at the same time if you think about it.
Yeah, and she's asking what the sky was like. This guy is saying, it was the deepest blue, white clouds suddenly turning dark with rain. And it would do, because in fucking Scotland, that's what happens. It goes, dark clouds turn to dark clouds with rain. And it rained, and there was a grey sky and dark. And she goes, fuck that shit, let's keep the shield. Red leaves in fall. And he wouldn't say fall, he'd say autumn, because he's Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. He's not America.
Exactly. I was going to say that it might have been...
It was beautiful. And she's there just rubbing herself off, thinking about leaves.
Trying to imagine it, I think.
And then he has that sad look on his face. And we thought it would last forever. Like that. And he has that little whimsical... Oh, I'm so sad. He always has that sad face when he talks about memories.
He does, and that's why he's so good, I think.
Yeah,
I think, you know, he generally has that look of empathy on his face for everything that's going on around him.
Now, just to put this in the real context, everybody, when you listen to this back and watch this film, you'll feel like you're in a cinema, because I'm just about to open a packet of something. Listen to the... I bet you're jealous. You haven't got anything, have you? Should have got yourself some, because I've got some cookies that Adie purchased, so... Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Oh, what's going on now? Oh, there we go. Back on Earth, in the past...
Which looks like the future.
He's watching a video on a monitor from the past that's better than the technology that's in the future. Doesn't make fucking sense. Does it?
It does.
You see what I mean?
This film's just pathetic.
This is happening 500 years before... Oh, no, sorry. 1,000 years before what we're seeing with Conor MacLeod in present day, yet the technology that Katana's using is better than what's happening in the future. This is ridiculous. This is like an attempt at doing some kind of RoboCop style Paul Verhoeven, you know, adverts to make it look like it's the future, you know, and you've got these kind of tongue-in-cheek adverts, but it fails miserably because those adverts are shit and they have no contextual sense whatsoever.
The paranormal pantry. I mean, come on, give me a fucking
Psychic
break.
chef or whatever it is. Now, what's about to come up, if you remember this, is probably the most ridiculous action scene and death sequence ever filmed. It's basically a subway train that can do like 1,000 miles an hour because it's unlimited because he breaks something on it.
I've got to say though, he makes me fucking laugh in the C9 side. You know.
And he goes, "Yeah, that was great," or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he keeps doing this sort of laugh all the way through it. It's hilarious, all of it.
It's like an adrenaline junkie here. He goes, "Yeah, that was great, yeah," or something. You get this crunching of bones as he's resetting them. Like that. Like that. That was great, yeah. Now, he says, "Where the hell am I?" He should know because he sent him fuck himself there. He should know he's in the future. Kansas, he wouldn't even fucking know Kansas. Kansas wouldn't have existed. He beats this bloke up just because he wants his coat, which is fine. Over the top, but fine.
There's a nice bit of prediction there, actually, with that guy who's wearing what looks like now we would call the Google Glass.
Oh yeah.
So if you think about it, they called it back then.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Ridiculous. You're a little one, aren't you? And doesn't beat him up. What's crazy about this, though, like, me too. I'm going to drive this, right?
How would he know?
Exactly. I don't know, because it's like 1,000 years in the past that he lived. He's using modern words, and then he's got all these little kids, and this is what's really bad about this. There's loads of little kids and stuff on this train, and he is about to kill all of them.
Which just shows how evil he is.
Yeah.
It's just another thing to show how evil he actually is. This whole...
There's a pram with a baby in it. No train can do like 1,000 miles an hour.
Obviously how excited he is.
You know, it reminds me like a scene out of Knight Rider where the car can go up to 300 and something miles an hour or whatever. And it seems that, you know, trains like this have no limit. So you could actually probably break the time barrier. Do you know what I mean? You'll end up in Back to the Future. I mean, look at that. 415 miles an hour. No train can do that.
Unless it's kilometres per hour, then he'd be doing about 200, wouldn't he?
But, I mean...
It's still stupid. Don't get me wrong.
Stupid.
There's something you just reminded me of there with Knight Rider, going off tangent a little bit, was where you were saying that it could go like 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I think it made me laugh about that in the first 2 seasons. It did go 300 miles an hour, then it could only do it when he hit the most worst named thing ever, Super Pursuit Mode.
Right.
And when it changed, then it could go that kind of speed. And I was thinking, hold on a minute, it used to be able to do that speed anyway. Why does it need this Super Pursuit bollocks to get it to do it? Anyway.
This is totally gratuitous. There's another bit, there's a ridiculous bit in a minute, because they're obviously going too fast. It's like the G-force is too high, and you'll see, it's not in the quickening, I don't think, but it's in this cut, and it's fucking stupid. And there!
What's that guy who can push his eyes out?
Yeah!
They actually gave him a part in a film.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I think it's actually a model, that one. But it's just like... as if no train could do like 50 Gs, it's crazy.
It makes me laugh as well, because he actually got the impact, you know, the front of the train, walks out like nothing happened, and everyone else has been killed.
Yeah, and he's just a human. Immortal, but still human, he's still sustained that damage. Here we go. Connor's gone to see his mate.
I love the fact they're still using the Porsche, though.
Yeah.
It's a nice little connection. He even takes that through to the third one as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I like the fact nobody's even noticing he's looking young again.
Yeah, they just go, oh, that's you. Yeah, I'm just 70 years younger.
It's a hell of a facelift.
I think that's what he says, isn't it? I think his friend Alan says something about getting a facelift or cosmetic, got a good surgeon or something.
Oh God! Nice looking set of that one though, with the lights coming in through the window.
Well, it's traditionally it's Mulcahy, isn't it? I mean, here we go.
You look fantastic. What have you been doing? Working out?
As if working out would unage you.
Yes. Case in point, Sylvester Stallone. You look fantastic, but your face looks like a rubber mask.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stallone. I still love you. There's me backtracking a bit.
I'm trying to remember the scene in the original film that has lighting like this, and I can't remember.
It looks fantastic though, doesn't it?
But it's you know, synonymous with Highlander. Now this is good. This is a good flashback.
I like it. That's a nice little dissolve, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, clearly they've used the same actor that plays Alan Neyman, but they aged him for the present day, so you can see him now as a younger man, and it's the same guy, look.
Very well done.
Which is brilliant, because they haven't got taken a young man and aged him. They've just basically started off as an old man and then sort of removed certain elements.
It's kind of funny though, when did Conor McLeod become a fucking scientist? I don't remember that either. Did he do that? Did he?
Yeah, 1999, so it's kind of like after, maybe 10 years or so after he won the prize in the first film.
So basically, well, I guess you could argue that he's been studying for like 300 years.
He doesn't need to either, because if you remember at the end of the first film he says, "I'm at one with all living things, each man's thoughts and dreams are yours to know." So he says that he knows what people are thinking all over the world. Presidents, diplomats, scientists, I can help them understand each other. That's what he says. So his prize was not only being able to age, but it was also
ultimate
being
knowledge.
at one with everything that was alive and knowing everything.
So he's the world's most cleverest person.
Exactly.
He's like Stephen Hawking.
He was like Christ, effectively, in that sense, isn't he? As a saviour. And that's why mankind would have suffered, and in quotes, an eternity of darkness should the Kurgan have won, because that knowledge would have been his and he would have used it to his own advantage and to destroy people.
He would have been the Antichrist, whereas he
exactly.
Christ.
Exactly. Kurgan would have used it to separate people rather than Connor to unite them. This is the ignition, the switching on of the shield, because the ozone layer was so badly damaged that it would have killed everything on the planet.
Could have picked a better colour though, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Instead of this red.
All the different countries, all the nations of the world have got their own shield generator, and they're all sort of linking up now from all over the world. And that obviously, that hug doesn't mean they're gay, just means that there's a success.
I bet he's having a fondle though.
Yeah, it's probably just...
It's more than likely having a fondle, let's
like
face it. A bit of teabagging when the camera's shot. Yeah.
And now we're back to present day, and they are remembering that happy day. And this is the kind of a bit of a revelation about what's going on in terms of the ozone layer.
It does seem to have a wonderful way to make people feel better about themselves, Conor McLeod. You see that quite a lot through the entire film, so he seems to have this way of making people feel good about what
I love this here is the typing, and he can kind of do it with one hand, and it's really quite complex sentences. He's going like that. You'll see in a minute, like, right, that's okay, right, that's not too bad, but I think there's one bit where he's kind of like does it with one hand or something. They go like that.
I can only imagine it's autocorrect. Perhaps this is like the version of the iPhone 10. It is 2024 after all.
I suppose so. Alan Neyman's given him coordinates of where to go on the planet to actually see that the ozone has repaired itself. And now we've got, and I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's now coming in as the boss of the SHIELD Corporation, who's effectively Alan's boss. And there we go. David Blake. And now he's... this is ridiculous, because he said, I've forgotten you were still alive. And he says, always. And he just laughs. He doesn't just go, so you're immortal, okay.
I don't know that. He hasn't questioned the fact that he looks 70 years younger.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what I mean about this film. He keeps meeting all these people that he's known for all these years.
Yeah.
And nobody turns around and goes, I've just got to ask you, how the fuck did you do it?
It just goes, you're looking fucking, 3 decades younger. I mean, if I looked 3 decades younger the next time I saw somebody, I'd be fucking 11.
If I had 3 decades younger, I'd be...
You'd be one.
I'd be spunked.
Yeah,
I'd be.
yeah.
I'd be in my dad's balls waiting to get shot out.
That's ridiculous. I mean, it's just... Oh, Christ.
I've got to say to this bad guy on the screen, you do want to slap him. Just his face makes you want to slap him.
I think they've got some funny... I think there's a laughing competition that goes on a minute. You could do the shittest laugh. Somebody put that on YouTube, and it is hilarious. Because he sort of goes... like that. And Conor McLeod goes... Here we go. It's it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And he just looks at him like, yeah, fucking... Like that. Rock music plays, and I can't remember whether or not it's good rock music or shit. If it's Queen, that'd be alright. This guy is definitely a 90s throwback. You're my sister, man, forget it! That's what he says, like, whoa, out of control! It's like totally California 1990s. Oh, it's ridiculous. You should compare tattoos or something, man. That's the way that he talks. You see it in a minute. It's ridiculous. But he just like, he pulls the top of the cab off or something. He's going, whoa, shit, fuck, like that. It's just any excuse to be like,
absolutely
over the top, man. And if he said cowabunga, you wouldn't be surprised.
The thing is, this scene that you got here with the cards with the little statue things, it reminds me of something. I think that's a real place. Because if I remember correctly, you see those exact statues.
Shit! Fuck! Yeah!
In Batman Forever.
Oh yes, you do.
The police cars drive
those.
them.
Yeah. It could just be that they reused the set.
Because I recognise it. I recognise this one. I watched in research for when we do this.
Is this the one with Val Kilmer?
It is Batman Forever.
Yeah.
I recognised them when I saw them. Like, hold on a minute.
Yeah, I think they've probably lifted it from the. They've obviously taken it from a storeroom.
Well, it must be because this is like what did you say? 91.
This is 91.
And 4 years later, they made Batman.
Yeah.
Batman Forever would have been 94, wouldn't it, when they made the film? So
yeah,
they must have used the set.
I mean, he goes, shit, man, I should have stayed in school. He's about 35, or at least he looks it. You know, to say I should have stayed in school isn't really going to stop him from ending up where he is now. It doesn't make any sense. I suppose you could argue that if he'd stayed in school, he'd never have been a taxi driver. Tab! He says, Jerry, add a little something for yourself. I mean, on my tabs wouldn't have existed 1,000 years ago. They wouldn't even have any kind of service like that. It's ridiculous.
Well, could we argue that because they take the memories, don't they, of the people they kill? So let's say he's killed people. He must have travelled to the future himself at some point. Maybe he's done that and it's just not something that's covered.
Yeah. It's still somewhere over the Atlantic. It's so stupid. And they, again, in a minute or so, maybe 30 seconds, they attempt another tongue-in-cheek style video. Do you remember?
Oh, yes, I do.
Here we go, the safety film, and it is utterly ridiculous. As if you would ever play a film like this on a plane as a safety film, even though it's like in the future people are going to not give a shit about whether they die, so therefore we're going to show a stupid in-flight film of people dying.
It furthers my point that honestly Sean Connery is the comic relief of the film.
Yeah. This is a crazy bit as well, because not only does it show you it's called the safety film, in a minute you see the plane crash into the side of a mountain and explode. So what was the point in all the safety measures? It's
this is what will happen if you ignore us.
Yeah. It's stupid. So stupid. He's now sort of master of all that he surveys type of thing. Well, at least he will be in a minute. It hasn't explained how he got up there. It's all, I'm so evil, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the quintessential late 80s, early 90s bad guy.
I'm waiting, McLeod. It's just the epitome of comic book baddie, isn't it?
It is.
There's no depth to him. He's just, I'm so evil. You know, this kind of wringing of hands and everything's, isn't it? This is stupid as well. He's effectively sexually harassing this female passenger.
Yeah, but it's Sean Connery.
But in a minute he whispers about eating things that he couldn't identify, and then he whispers in her ear that's not strictly true. And he says about sitting on men's faces, and she's just laughing. So immortals always seem to manage to meet the slut wherever they go.
Absolutely. Except on this occasion, he's fucking Sean Connery.
Here we go. And anything I can't identify, and he goes, actually, that's not strictly true.
That's not exactly.
There you go. So that's he's alluding to the fact that he likes to eat pussy.
Oh, it's Sean Connery. I'm not surprised.
Right.
Sean Connery just goes, I've got to eat your pussy.
And she goes, yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Opens the flaps up and lets him in.
That's it.
This is a nice one. Let's say nice. It's horrible, actually. But this is Brenda, his wife, dying.
Bless her.
And this was cut from, I believe this was cut from the original Highlander 2.
It wasn't. It's in there.
Was it? This was all this was in.
This is in.
Ah, okay. 'Cause I thought that it was actually cut out, but it's obviously to show Connor's motivation ultimately for building the shield, isn't it?
It's still in there. I kind of watched both versions of the flick, so this is definitely in there. It is.
Yeah, and that's clearly not the actress that played Brenda. It's somebody made up to be a bit like her.
That's why she's got the burns. It's to cover up the fact it's not her.
I can't remember the name of the actress, can you?
No, it eludes me at this time.
The woman that played Brenda Wyatt. It'll come to me, but I can't remember her name now. But she's not in this film. Nice long tracking shot of him just walking out. Sort of pointless. I don't mean the whole thing was pointless, but they really have gone to town on, here's a big set, let's show all the people. They could have cut to that ages ago. But they need this, I suppose. There's discussion about, for one brief moment, it was clean and it was good with the shield.
Roxanne Hart.
That's it, Roxanne Hart.
I love the fact when a plan comes together. I remember things all. In this case, Google it.
Yeah,
friend.
Roxanne Hart. But this is good. You know, he's explaining here his reasons for doing it and talking to his dead wife. And now we've got him pretending to be the Kurgan. You know, it's a similar encounter. You know, you remember in the original film he was in the church. For you, my Bonnie Heather, happy birthdays, lighting the candle, and then all of a sudden Kurgan's there. Castigair is gone, only you and I remain. Nice to see you, Kurgan, and all that sort of stuff. This is very much like that.
Can I just say, I love your Lambert impression.
Oh, really? He goes, nice to see you, Kurgan.
I do, I
Who
like
cut
it.
your hair?
You know what? We should
I'm
have
in
just
disguise.
We should have just read the script out. You know, I'll do the Connery parts.
Classic. After all this time, I was ready to kick back, grow old and die. You changed everything.
Oh, I love it.
And now I'm back to square one, again. Immortal again. Something like that. So, Katana.
That's very sexually charged, isn't it? Touching the hair.
Yeah.
You know, a bit of homosexuality coming through there.
Yeah, I rather like this place. It's good atmosphere. Oh, this. It's very long hair centric as well. This film, isn't it?
They're obsessed with it.
Lots of long hair. You know, the bigger the better. Like you've got a dead poodle strapped to the top of your head. This is stupid. If you don't take it out and use it or something, it's going to rust. And then he disappears, gone. But we don't know how he did that.
Obviously using the wankening. Sorry, the quickening. I know I got that wrong.
Yeah. So, a bit of an encounter there. And then we cut back to a nice spiral staircase. And this is a bit of kind of exposition in the sense that Louise Marcus is now going to sort of go, this is effectively the same as rummaging through the knicker drawer. She's just going to go and have a little bit of a rummage and see what Connor MacLeod has got tucked away in his little private room. And what we're about to see is effectively some reasonably well done photoshopped photos of him doing stuff with various historical figures. Not too badly superimposed his face.
It'd have been so much better if they rearranged this and actually had her, say, breaking in to hide. You know, when she first...
Yes, that would have been much better.
And this is what she sees. And then all these different bits, because it would have been a way to explain certain things.
This is funny. Ship's Log, the Rosemary, 1858. You can see there it says 1855 on the prop. So it says 1858, but actually the prop says 1855. Which is ridiculous because he obviously wrote it. They are 1853, look. And he said 1858 in the dialogue. It doesn't make any sense. Whoever did that needs a kick in the bollocks. That isn't a photograph of Heather because in 1542 photography didn't exist in Highland Scotland, in the Highlands of Scotland. It didn't exist really anywhere unless you believe that Leonardo da Vinci took a photo of himself and had it superimposed using chemicals onto the Turin shroud using a camera obscura. But apart from that, photography didn't exist. There was no fucking click or Polaroids in 1542. There we go. Flash across the eyes again. Very Mulcahy. It's kind of like Conor McLeod's signature shot. You always know that it's him. He likes to have lots of birds around. Not women, birds. Always likes to have birds flying around.
Very John West.
He did it in the first film when the Kurgan was appearing in the tower with the fight with Ramirez, what they call the Forge fight. That there are pigeons nesting in the roof of the tower, and then all of a sudden they scatter, and that's how Ramirez knows that.
I wonder if he's watched a lot of early 80s films with John Woo.
Possibly.
Sort of taken that kind of idea away.
Possibly, yeah. This is terrible, this. Nice little introduction sort of thing, like, hello, I'm throwing dead bodies at you. Doesn't really make a lot of sense other than the fact that...
He just likes killing people, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's just cruel, yeah, it's just kind of like a welcoming thing for him. I hate the sword that he uses in this fight. It's a very modern, futuristic type shitty sword. I much prefer him using the katana. Now, by rights, he should have that katana, because he had that before... Well, he had that before the year 2024. Because if you've watched the other Highlander films, like Highlander 3, that happens in the 90s, which predates 2024. So he has his katana. Ramirez hasn't got it. Conor McLeod's fucking got it. So why is he using this fucking shitty sword there?
It's just obviously bad continuity.
Yeah. They've obviously decided we want to give it a space age look, so we'll give Conor McLeod the shittest Toys R Us sword you can ever imagine look. It's just bollocks.
Finish him off. I don't know if I got that shit. You stabbed the guy in the stomach. You know, he's leaning over. You could have just chopped his head off there and then and finished it.
Yeah, he's doing the sort of the web of death roll with his sword. It looks shit with that little thing as well. It's really, it's typically 1990s sci-fi.
Typically 1990s sword fights.
Yeah, chunky.
Yeah.
Lots of hacking as opposed to good, and lots of sparks. And headbutts, as opposed to like proper swordsmanship. It's all about muscle and nutting people. Yeah, I rest my case. So here we go. You know, they're all hanging off the side. Obviously, Katana's going to get the upper hand and start kicking people or whatever. All in black again. Very 1990s to have everybody in black, even the good guys in black. It's a very traditionally 1990s thing to do. It was the beginning of what they call the anti-hero, the dark hero. You know, you saw Batman become darker than ever in the 1990s.
Wow.
And then obviously went very Dayglow and shitty with the George Clooney version. To give Batman silver nipples was ridiculous.
Well, it started off with the Valkyrie 95, didn't it?
Oh yes, it did. Yeah, that was a bit shit as well, wasn't it?
You know, I can generally still like that one.
It is good because there are some good shots in it.
And it's not only that, Burton produced, so I think he kind of kept semi-dark with it, but he still had that pathetic...
Oh, and by the way, Christopher Lambert did this as well.
You could tell, can't you?
He actually did this stunt himself. They obviously speeded up certain bits, but that was him stood on top of that as it plunged down.
So really, he was the first action star to do his own stunts. If you think about it.
But I think Harrison Ford was pretty good as well with the Raiders of the Lost Ark and stuff like that.
Yeah, he didn't do every stunt.
No, he didn't do all of them. No.
And if we're looking at this one, he has pretty much done every stunt.
Oh, I think he did pretty much every one.
Very Tom Cruise of today.
Yeah, he's a very physical actor. I think he's, well, I'm not sure if he still is. But this is ridiculous as well. This goes back to what Katana was doing on the train, which is putting his bones back into position. The gratuitously doing that. It's kind of, it's like that was the signature of this film. It's kind of like they wanted to show the reality of injury to an extreme level.
I like that though, you know.
Yeah, but I think to do it twice, they probably didn't need to do that. You know, that Katana did it, and then Conor McLeod's got to do it as well. He's got his portrait of Heather up on that canvas, but there doesn't seem to be any pictures of Brenda, and Brenda was like only dead 20 odd years ago.
Well, evidently that was his true love, though.
Yeah, Heather was his first love. Heather was his first love, really.
And let's face it, your first love is always the one you're going to remember.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose Connor's first love was Kate in the original film, played by Celia Imrie, would you believe, who's now a very elderly lady. And spends a lot of her time doing comedy stuff with Victoria Wood, you know, she did in the 80s and very late 80s and early 90s. And now he's describing Heather to her to sort of explain about the fact that he held on to her and she grew old and died as he stayed young. And that obviously gets her moist in the gusset region. That's Brenda, my last wife. I kicked her in the head. Or whatever.
I kicked her in the head.
29 years ago.
It's one of the things I do love is that...
I love this bit. Get rid of this bit. That's a long time to be alone. You get used to it. Right? Right? You get used to it. Do you really? No. I'm just going to lie to you.
It's very Doctor Who.
Yeah.
If you think about it. You know.
Oh, what's that? Heather, go in the house. No, you're not. I'm not Heather. Oh shit. Here we go again. Look, nice blue lights through the window again. Mulcahy at his best. Lovely shafts of light and perfectly arranged. Looks delicious, but sadly wasted on such a shit pile of bollocks film.
I think he tried his hardest, didn't he? I mean, with these, you can get a feeling of a film from the script, and he must have read this. I wonder if he was locked into contract to do the sequel.
Probably so.
You know, I'm sure Christopher Lambert was.
I mean, that's lovely, isn't it?
It is.
Great shot. This is just mental. They're fighting in semi-daylight with lights everywhere, and then because they started that, and he's only just realised that it was Ramirez, even though he would have seen him right from the first move. What took you so long? Don't be ridiculous.
It's not only that, he doesn't seem that surprised to see him either.
No, well I suppose he called for him, didn't he? So
called for him or not, after the first film, he was really upset when he got his head cut.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, he was a bit miffed, wasn't he?
Yeah, now he's like, oh, it's alright. You know, if you think about it, he might as well just done that in the first film.
Yeah.
His head got cut off, and he's back again, he's like, yeah. There you go, just finish him off.
Exactly, yeah. There's no substitute for experience. What experience? You've been dead for 500 years. So? Watch it! Watch what? The sculpture!
That's a sculpture.
I love the fact that we're just doing impressions.
It is becoming one of our many things for these tests. We like to do impressions.
Look at that, it's a fucking drinks cabinet with wings on it. Why?
Because MacLeod has some very strange taste.
Yeah. I'm just going to chop your head off in reality. It's like, it's a little bit over the top, innit?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you're my best mate, but I think I'll think about it. And then I'll just do a really stupid laugh in a minute, like this. Yeah.
You've got to remember though, he spends a lot of the time in the first one getting his ass kicked by Ramirez, doesn't
Yeah.
he? So this is kind of like his...
It's revenge, yeah.
It's like him saying, you know, I am the master now.
That's,
you know what I mean?
Oh, here you go. To magic. What the fuck? To magic? What magic? When did they talk about it being magic? It was the quickening. It was never mentioned as being magic.
Except in the first one, he would have thought of it as magic.
He said to
It's a kind of magic.
Rachel, didn't he? Shh, it's a kind of magic. Because of like, when the little girl said, you're alive, why didn't you die? But it's like, he only said that because she was little and she couldn't understand. Whereas he's like, to magic. And it's like, what the fuck? Whose magic? Is it his cat or something? I mean, what the fuck? Oh, and she's just... Why is she getting involved, isn't it?
I don't know. It's obvious to me, the way that Connery's looking at her, is that the next scene was obviously them two spit roasting her. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, literally though, with one of the swords.
Yeah, that's what happened. And then we come back and he's like, thank you, brother, what kind of lad I needed that. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
Yeah, it's stupid. I love this though. He's a bit like Uncle Albert out of Only Fools and Horses. He's just typically this kind of like corporate bad guy who talks like that. He's a bit like Max Headroom without the sort of chunkiness.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's very much the 80s corporate bad guy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
definitely.
The yuppie of the 80s.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's spot on with that. And that stupid laugh. He just well, that's funny, Alan, because I was under the impression that that's precisely what had happened. He's just like well over the top, getting really pissed off. I suppose you would be if it really doesn't know now, does it?
Much so, but I think if I was the director, I would have. We've said this a few times in the podcast. You would have walked up to him and slapped him and say, "Calm that shit down."
Yeah, I'd just say, look, come, you know, you're going to have to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, you're not Nicolas Cage.
Exactly.
You know, when Nicolas Cage can do off and do all he wants, he's not Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. But he's just... I mean, he was a bit of a mental case in Platoon, wasn't he?
He did play
if
the
you
mental
remember it.
case,
With
yeah.
calling him Chief Rooney and all that sort of stuff. He hasn't really changed that much.
He hasn't, and he always seems to play the same shitty parts.
Yeah.
If you think, I remember seeing him in a Steven Seagal film. For
Oh,
God's
really?
sake.
And was he the same thing? Was he like a
Deadly
police
Ground.
chief or something?
No, he was a bad guy mercenary.
Right.
And he had like this silly little goatee thing with glasses and...
And was he the same in that?
Yeah, he's pretty much a whiny little fucker.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you son of a bitch! He's doing that all the time.
Yeah.
And, oh,
Yeah. This is stupid as well. Does he kill somebody at the table or something? Or whatever. Here, yeah, and then just
his neck.
smacks him down or something and sort of goes with his head or something. It's like... it doesn't make any sense.
And what's he doing there anyway?
It's like he's gate crashing a board meeting. So in effect, what he's doing is he's doing like a hostile takeover of an organisation that he would have no thought about. You know, he's 1,000 years old. Why does he know about agendas and like board meetings and getting all the chief execs in a room?
We can answer this. Earlier on, you saw him watching things on the TV.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps, in
So
a
he's
sense,
learned.
he watches stuff through the TV. Maybe that's TV. We just watch the past or the future or whatever it is.
Oh, that's a good point. I like that.
So
that explains.
That explains a lot. Obviously, a lot of people won't come to that conclusion, but if you think about it...
That's very much like those Alien films where they explained why they could speak the languages because we have been monitoring your broadcasts for 200 years.
Precisely.
Like, yeah.
So maybe that's what he's been doing. He's just been watching it like it's EastEnders.
Yeah.
Or,
And he's got that ridiculous belt on. It looks like he's got like a boxing belt on, hasn't he?
Oh,
when you look at him. Oh, this is... Oh, it's just so gratuitous. I mean, look at this. He crunches his head and there's loads of crunching and... I mean, the repetitive noise in this film is...
Which in 1991 would have been really, really...
There's so much... Like that. The whole film might as well have been in clicks. You know, the dolphin cut or something. I mean, look, it's sitting in his lap now pretty much or whatever. It's just, this is... Oh, God. Oh, it's so stupid. Look, I mean... Oh, and when he throws that, it's so stupid. And he's all... Partner?
It's not that only that. He's not this stupid when you see him in the alien area. He actually just seems a genuine bad guy. He gets to Earth and suddenly becomes a complete and utter nutter.
No, it's stupid. But he's all like... Partner? He's kind of like... The way that he says it to him. And even the smiles that Ironside does, it's all... It's all Kurgan. Somebody's just said, oh, just copy the Kurgan.
Or do you think he made the choice himself to do that?
No, they'll have been told, probably. Mario Van Peebles does exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that's when he goes around talking like that.
Highlander 3, yeah.
I like that film.
Cloud.
There can be only one.
There can be only one. He's just like, I mean, he hams it right up and he's really good, but I just wish that when they had a bad guy, and to be fair, they did this in later films and in the TV series. When you had a bad guy later on, they didn't emulate the Kurgan. They were actually bad guys in their own right, rather than being this kind of just a regurgitation of the same character, which does get really boring, doesn't it? I mean, it's like having every sci-fi film the bad guy is Darth Vader. It would destroy that genre.
The only difference is that Darth Vader is very, very, very iconic.
I mean, probably the best,
the most iconic bad
sci-fi bad guy that's ever been done. You know, ever since 1977 when that first film came out. in 37 years, I don't think we've ever seen a bad guy in a sci-fi film that equals or betters Darth Vader.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
This is stupid. And now Ramirez is getting involved. Why? What? Oh, if I was Ramirez, I'd go, look, you were being attacked. You called my name. I've come, not literally, but you did.
Oh, McClone.
Yeah, I've come to help you. The fight's over. See you later. Why is he getting involved? Connor McLeod's immortal. He could just walk in there, fucking shoot me, I don't give a fuck. Isn't it?
Pretty much. And then again, maybe it just feels like he has to.
Okay, jerk face, stay put and we'll come to get you. Jerk face. I mean, some of the words are ridiculous.
Extremely poor writing.
Yeah. Oh Christ! And this is gratuitous as well with the amount of shots, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's doing his fake Hollywood driving with the wheel.
I hate that shit.
If I did that in my car
You'd be
with
all
the
over the
power
road.
steering, I'd probably be off in some field in like a tenth of a second. But here we go. Look, this is. I mean, they've obviously had they bought too many blood bags, so they just thought, let's just blow them all up in this scene.
These are the ones that are left over from Paul Verhoeven's RoboCop.
Yeah.
The ones they didn't get to use.
Oh, Mr. Kinney when he got shot in the boardroom.
Exactly. And the director's cut, and it's even longer. He gets shot.
It's just so over the top. I mean, yeah, they've been shot. You don't have to show them getting shot 1 billion times and doing this kind of.
I know that.
Twitch.
Surely they would have realised that they're dead by now. You would have stopped shooting.
You see all the feathers as well. They obviously these people are half man, half chicken with the amount of feathers that come flying out when they've been shot. Like in the James Bond film, which one is it? When that guy falls off the cliff and lands in a massive van full of feathers, and James Bond says, "All those feathers," and he still couldn't fly. What the fuck?
Oh, Roger Moore delivers that so well.
It's just ridiculous.
All those feathers and he still can't fly.
Yeah. Oh, this is. And later on in a minute, I think you'll find they say how many shots they'd sustained each. How did they know? They were lying on their backs with their eyes closed.
They were counting them, obviously.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, those like high caliber semi-automatics and stuff. They would have probably fired out maybe 30 rounds a second.
Oh, they looked a bit like MP5. So
okay.
We're looking at 9mm. So still, it's going to hurt. It'll sting a little bit, I'd imagine.
I love the way he said they were both dead before the car stopped. What difference does that make?
It passed right through me. Just look at my splendid waistcoat.
Just look at my splendid
Bang! And they both punch at the same time. This guy is fucking ridiculous. Larry! You guys are dead. What? Larry! Oh. They're fucking stupid.
Oh, look at that.
All that hair and he still couldn't fly. Oh well, I'm fucking Christ. Lots of lifts in this film. Sorry, I'm just eating a cookie as well.
That's okay.
Lots of lifts in this film. I suspect that it was all filmed in that one place.
It was probably the same lift.
Yeah.
And they're just dressed in
Yeah. That's the same fucking shot.
Yeah, it's actually just reversed.
It's like in Scooby-Doo when you get the same grandfather clock going by every couple of seconds.
Yeah, actually, we're just waiting for Scooby to show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Ready?
Zoinks!
You know, here's a bit thing for you. In a little bit, you know, obviously Ramirez, spoilers if you're not, he dies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember crying at that when I was a kid.
And the first film?
The second time, because he goes underneath that, doesn't he? He goes underneath it and he's trying to hold it off or something.
Oh, in this?
Yeah, I cried when I was a kid watching that.
Of course, you'd have only been little, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
I've forgotten.
Because I love Sean Connery, obviously, because I was a Bond fan, so I've been watching him in that and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
jeez, yeah. Because you're, what, 30, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 30.
This film is 91, which is
Oh,
23 years ago. You'd be 7.
Exactly, watching this.
I was, this was 1991. I was 19 when this film came out.
Well, you'd have sat there laughing at it, but I would have been, I cried because I didn't like that.
First, I saw this at the cinema when it came out. Look, 'cause obviously not the Renegade version, but oh Christ! When it first started, I went to see it with my dad because my dad's a big Highlander film fan, And when it all kicked off with the Wagner music and it all started opening, you know, the opening sequence, and it panned across and you had the Wagner, I just thought, this is going to be fucking wicked. This is going to be a lavish Highlander film. And then it was like, he goes, remember Highlander? And I thought, here we go, remember your home, the planet Zeist, 500 years ago. And I thought, what the fuck?
What happened?
Because I was 19 and I was expecting an awesome fucking film, and it killed it in the first 30 seconds, and I thought, you fucking bastards.
Ruined it already.
And it wanked all the way through. It absolutely sucked itself off. It sucked harder than a massive fucking 90-foot Dyson.
It's not only that,
it was shit.
You see, the thing is, there are films out there where you can pick good bits out.
Oh, there's some good bits in this, to be fair.
There are in most films, really.
Yeah.
You know, I can pick good things out of some flicks.
Oh, here we go. Don't let the door close. Oh, you. The look on his face.
You.
Don't let the door close. Bang, you fucking idiot.
And in fact, if you want to imagine how he says that, just think of The Rock. You know, he actually says it. No, you're a fucking idiot.
That would be so funny, wouldn't it? You fucking twat, he says.
The Renegade version. You fucking idiot.
You fucking idiot. We ought to dub that in. We could do a re-edit.
They get sued by Connery for using his likeness.
Yeah. This is cool, because it's like, if you want the one thing that's going to kill an immortal is having your head chopped off, and there's like 20 big, massive head choppery things flying around there, which could easily kill them.
They're not exactly going that fast, though, if you think about it.
Oh, I don't know. It's fast there. Doof! That's it. Sometimes, it says. I can't remember exactly what it says. Summoning it all up, or something like that. A minute ago. Most people have a full measure of life.
And most people just watch it slowly drip away.
Say?
Some people watch it slowly drip away.
That's it.
But if you can summon it all up
But if you can summon it all up
at one time,
at one time,
in one place,
in one place,
Oh!
you can accomplish something
you can accomplish something that is a glorious. And this bit's it's almost like he's kind of like a mobile disco.
Yeah,
Because that's like a glitter ball, isn't it?
I reckon that's what they probably used, to be fair.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the buffet is now open. It's like that, isn't it?
It's not only that, he's saying, now go. How?
Yeah.
You're not fucking in!
Yeah.
The door suddenly opens slightly,
Will I
does it?
ever see you again, Highlander? Who knows, Highlander? Who knows?
And then Sean Connery watched the film and thought, fuck
What?
that.
The fucking door opens on its own!
Why didn't he just use his quickening bullets to open the door in the first place?
Yeah. I'll not forget you, Angus. I'm not fucking Angus. Let's watch him die. No fucking.
Not only that, why isn't he fucking getting out?
Yeah. Yeah, it's because he had to destroy that thing, but to be fair, it was going to drop anyway.
Exactly, he could have just walked out with them.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you fucked up. Oh no, showtime, he says. Showtime. Ridiculous. There's an amazing bit in a minute where that baddie guy, that corporate twat that was in Platoon, I can't remember his name, he fucks something up, and Katana throws him off the edge of the building, and it's clearly a dummy. I fucking can't wait to see that bit, because you know how dummies, their knees bend upwards.
That's right.
Well, this happens on that. And it's this is another brilliant bit. This is the outstanding bit, isn't it? This went viral on YouTube a few years ago. It's a classic scene. He does something to kill somebody, and she goes, "Outstanding," and he goes, It's so funny. Watch. I'm not sure if it's him, but there is a bit. There is a bit with the outstanding bit. Have we had the outstanding bit?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh no, maybe not. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the outstanding bit, because that is so funny. It's just the way she says it as well. She goes, "Outstanding," in a really
So
stupid,
full of herself.
yeah, in a really stupid way, as if you would ever say that. Somebody's just been killed, but by a motor vehicle, and all she goes is "outstanding." It's so funny. This fight is ridiculous. This fight is typical of the 1990s. That you have to, in any action film,
There must be a driving
there's
fight.
always got to be a fight on the roof of a moving vehicle. It's like it's part of any contract in Hollywood.
In fact, I think even Bond did it at this point, didn't they?
Yeah.
It would have been licensed to kill.
Yeah,
when
I
they did
mean,
it.
if Watership Down had been made in the 1990s, there would have been a fight on top of the fucking car.
A couple of fucking rabbits having a fight.
There would have been. Or then even fucking E.T. if that happened in the 90s. Everything has a fight. I mean, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. There's a fight on top of the train. The next thing we ought to do is go through action films and find moving vehicle fights and do a podcast on them.
Oh, I think we might be able to find one, but that's like a 5-hour episode.
Yeah.
James.
Isn't there one in Underworld as well? Was that in the 1990s?
No, Underworld is like 2000.
2005 or something.
Something like that.
Oh, here we go. I'm sure this is the outstanding bit that's coming up. I'm sure it is. Oh, she's bleeding. That's it. Oh, just check that. There's always a mirror there, isn't there? Oh, look. Oh, great. Oh, great. I look like shit. And he goes, you always look like shit. I only fucked you because you were the only slut available.
Can't believe I put my dick in you.
Yeah. Look at that fucking vehicle as well. Doesn't it look like something out of Jurassic Park? And I'm sure that windscreen was completely trashed and not just a little gap there.
Oh, continuity errors. The film's full of them if you want.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean earlier on in the film there's a bit with that fire escape walkway that goes down, and in the background it goes up and then it cuts to Conor McLeod and then it's still going up. So you're right, there's quite a few little bits. We must have missed the outstanding bit.
Perhaps it's cut out of this version.
Oh yeah, maybe it could have been because it was hilarious. And he goes, actually, you need to be in front. And she goes, why? So I can look up your skirt. And she goes, I'm wearing trousers. And he goes, nah, for fuck's sake. Have you seen that film Bird on a Wire?
I have.
Yeah, that bit where she climbs up the ladder and the wind blows up and you see her. Goldie Hawn's arse is... Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is Highlander, but watch Bird on a Wire and there's a bit where Goldie Hawn's going up this ladder and Kurt Russell gets an eyeful of her arse, and she had one of the best backsides ever. She probably doesn't now, but she worked out. She definitely did squats. Definitely.
Oh, she did something amazing.
Beautiful arse. Anyway, let's get back. We're talking about Goldie Hawn's arse.
Continuing error. It was Mel Gibson that saw her.
I suppose it was Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Was it? Or was it? I thought it was Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell's husband. Well, he was.
So that's even worse then, isn't it? Mel Gibson's getting an eyeful and poor Kurt's left out in the cold, having a wank over a pot noodle. Yeah, can you see that face there in the snow and the it's going to cut away in a minute. Look, looks like a little face, little head.
Oh,
you missed it just then.
That's all right.
Oh, there you go. Look, they've gone to that place.
What? Yeah, and the sky's blue.
Yeah, and he's showing her where, look, there's blue sky. What is mental is that why did they have to go to 36 degrees whatever latitude to see that? They destroyed the entire shield. So surely they could have gone anywhere and they would have seen the sky.
I can only imagine that this is somewhere where the shield didn't hit. But
they blew it up, so it's like it's done, isn't it? Alan was right. It is fucking shit. Oh no, the shield hasn't come down.
It hasn't come down yet.
It's a bit that's missed, isn't it?
Yeah, because the shield was up a second ago.
There's only one way. Of course, there's an off button. It's hidden under this rock switch. See you later.
Job done.
In there.
I mean, for God's sake, they dropped off the screen almost 24 hours ago.
This is the bit. This is dummy. This is the dummy scene coming up, which is hilarious. But the thing is, there is no character development with any of the characters in this film. And I know that it's kind of a typical bubblegum sort of movie, but at least in the first film you could sort of see this transition of the way the characters sort of changed over time. This one, everybody starts off like a wanker, and they're basically a wanker.
Yeah,
they're either dead or a wanker.
The thing was, is the first one had loads of good ideas and it transitions, where this one kind of is just a straight popcorn action.
Oh, it is. It's all about the shield, isn't it? It's all about just bringing the shield down.
That's basically it. And you know, a lot of films were like that in the 80s and the 90s. It wasn't until like...
Here we go. Looks like you fucked up. So he's been a wise guy now. Well, he's been a wise guy loads before. You really think so? And he goes, well, and he just goes, yeah, maybe. Grabs his bollocks, and he really does a massive scream. Like,
I don't know about you, but have you ever had your bollocks? No, you don't scream.
There, and there's the dummy. His legs are about fucking 6 feet long. And then again, maybe not. Ridiculous. And that's clearly not a dummy. But... you know, it's all centred around the dam, which they obviously...
And let's face it, you're going to use that as much as you possibly can, aren't you?
I mean, but what... I mean, it's a great set. It's like a James Bond set. But I wouldn't have used it so much. It's really quite boring, isn't it, using it so much? Hi! Hi. Bang. His laugh's almost like Sid James in this film, isn't it?
Actually, I think he carried that through for most of his films, didn't he?
What the... Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, he uses it.
Oh, he does, yeah. Welcome to Mortal Kombat. I really like his voice. It's a great voice.
Oh, I love the line at the end of the film when he goes, when, you know, the big bad guy shows up and he goes, I've come for your souls. And he goes, I don't think so. You know
Classic.
Because he actually looked really, really cool in that film.
With his white hair and everything.
Yeah.
He's Raiden, isn't he?
Yeah. He's the only cool character in that film. I think the rest is crap, but that...
Oh, she's jammed the gun. She's a woman, you see. She can't use a gun. She's jammed it. Again, typical 1990s, early 1990s. Remember, women always fall over or fuck up with the weapons in the early 90s and backwards into the 80s and 70s. Whereas towards the sort of mid-90s, there was a lot of empowerment with girl power and stuff, and women became, you know, more... Equals, yeah, but before
which
then...
they are anyway.
Yeah, exactly, but before then, they were always seen as become like a hindrance. And now we've got the final showdown, which, to be fair, because they're both immortals, could have fucking happened after 5 minutes of being into the film. It could have gone straight there.
I could never understand it either. Obviously, it's for the film, so it prolongs. But if I have a fight with somebody, I generally don't go, right, I'll leave this alone for later, and you walk off. You generally just get into it, don't you?
Yeah, and what I do like is the way that MacLeod is using his katana in a more traditional way this time. If you look at the movements, he actually, earlier on, he used it backwards and actually spun it round and used it different ways rather than just slicing. He's using it backwards and slicing upwards and stuff. It's a lot more traditional technique. But what's ridiculous is that he's now got the Masamune katana of Ramirez's, whereas Ramirez shoved it into the ground and everything collapsed on it, and we never saw him pick the sword up, I don't think.
No, I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
I imagine he must have done. He must have got hold of it and walked out with it.
Or maybe we did see it and we just didn't notice.
Yeah, but too busy taking the piss.
Yeah, but it just... I mean, the fights are pretty good. This isn't too bad. It's quite a good fight sequence. There's less hacky slashy. There's a lot more spinning of swords and stuff, so it's more acrobatic. There you go. That's a good move. Much better.
Looks a bit more natural.
I like the double slice as well. Cut to the stomach and the spinal cord. So now he's immobilised and he's just going to go, there can be only one. But he doesn't actually say it, I don't think. I think he just takes his head. I'm going to say it. There can be only one. There can be only one. That says it at the end. I suppose you can say it when he likes, there's no rules. Nice bit of quickening again. I like the colour of the quickening this time around. It's a lot more pale, and it was pale in the first film. It wasn't as blue as they made it in subsequent
Maybe it's
versions.
just meant to be more powerful.
Could be.
Because he hasn't done it for some time.
Yeah. If you think about it, now he's going to grow old again. That's a shitter, isn't it? Because he just killed them all. So he's going to get old again.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it, you could also think that he can grow up with her now.
Yes.
Whereas before he couldn't, you know.
That's a good point. He was an old bloke, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, he's going to now destroy the shield by... It says it'll take the power of you both, but it doesn't. It'll take the power of you both to destroy the shield, but she never does fuck all. She stands there and faps herself while he walks into there and puts his hands up and summons all his energy and destroys the shield. So I don't understand the power of you both, because she does fuck all in that. She offers nothing apart from standing there looking good with her tits heaving. So
I remember that.
Then very Star Warsy there, with the beam going up and then.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Just adding some sound effects, ladies and gentlemen, because of course. But then again, you'll have the sound effects on there, so
Yeah. So we don't know what we're doing.
I know. It's just. There you go. That's nice. I like the wide shot of that in flames because it reminds me of the pyramid in flames at the end of Conan the Barbarian, the original film, the John Milius version with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then he looks across, and I think she kind of sees for the first time
The night
sky and realises just how beautiful it is and sees all the stars, which is quite nice, but obviously very green screened because it fairly badly superimposed there. But not to worry, he looks across, smiles, and I think then it freezes in a minute on his smiley face, and then, oh no, this is the additional bit, isn't it? This is them walking away. Yeah, this is the additional scene. I don't think that scene is in the original, is it? This scene.
Ooh, I don't think so.
Most people have a full measure of life, and I think it's echoing at this stage, isn't it? So as a sort of a memory.
Watch it slowly drip away.
Yeah, this is
Can't
an
turn it
additional
all
scene.
on at one time in one place.
Because we already had that, didn't we?
You can accomplish something.
Exactly.
Glorious.
Glorious.
And then it kind of like, I think it ends at this stage. Now then, I think this ends with the song One Dream that's sung by Lou Gramm, who was in the rock band, an amazing rock band called Foreigner.
Foreigner.
Yeah, and this is that one dream that keeps me holding on or something.
Oh, the quintessential end of 80s, 90s.
Yeah. One dream that love will find a way. It's like that. And it's a cool song because it's Lou Gramm, you know, he's got a very great sounding voice. But, you know, there you go. Maybe I'm wrong and I should know better. To trust is easy.
The Grumpy Guy, welcome to the karaoke version.
Yeah, but sing it. But I need to believe that there must be a way. And I know I've got one dream that keeps me hanging on. Go on, join in. One dream over and over.
No, I
One
refuse to
dream
join
that
in.
love will find a way. It's classic.
The Grumpy Guy CD will be on the shelves before Christmas.
So, I mean, we know, what do we think? And these are obviously there's a lot of people that, I mean, I would have loved to have been the guy that can say I was Cobalt Man, or I was Gravedigger, or I was Yuppie number 2 in this film. I mean, for fuck's sake, it says colon opera that sang that rather than Cologne. I'm sure it should have been the Cologne opera rather than
There's a
Colon
strange
opera.
thing there, considering that Lambert has done all his own stunts, and it even says there, stuntman for McLaren.
Oh, really? So maybe there were some
So there
bits-
must have been some things that were
Yeah.
then done for insurance reasons.
Yeah, and there must have been certain things that you couldn't do, maybe like falling off stuff like that, maybe that vehicle fight or something like that.
Yeah, I would
would have been a bit
imagine
more
so.
dodgy. But you know, lots of people made this film, but unfortunately, to everybody involved, you worked on an absolute fucking cinematography pile of fucking shit.
I think they do.
Unfortunately,
That's obviously why, you know, they dropped in that line for Sean Connery, so will I ever see you again? And he
who
winked.
knows, McLeod?
Yeah,
or
he
something,
kind of winks,
yeah.
like say, yeah, and then saw the film and went, no fucking way!
Or he winked, going, who knows, McLeod? Not fucking likely. Who knows?
You poor bastard, that you were
Yeah.
lumbered into the third.
Too right, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, I mean-
we hope that you. I guess we hope that you enjoyed listening to our demented ramblings.
Yeah, we've kind of got caught up in the film. We kind of went off on a tangent, which just kind of shows how bored we were with the flick, to be fair.
Yeah,
but,
there weren't many stats that we could come out really about direction.
No, not really. I mean, we can talk about shots and things like that. I mean, I mentioned the film Resurrection earlier on, which looks very much like a TV film,
yeah.
which I should lend you at some point because you'll actually like the flick.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, this is not exactly Lambert's best. I think that's why if you watch the third one, The Sorcerer, it went very much back to the original.
It was a regression, and it was a preferred option. Certainly, the shots again were very well done. Some of the lighting was excellent. I think one thing I didn't mention when we were watching this is the film score. There was a few things we're just coming up now on the credits is the music and the orchestration and stuff like that, and certain people are being credited with the music and the fact that it's a Seattle Symphony and Gerald Schwartz as the music director, and obviously we had a reference to the Queen track with A Kind of Magic, but something that was sadly lacking in this version, I think, was the Michael Kamen
the score.
I mean, the original film score by Michael Kamen, which I've got, is about 3 hours long. It's absolutely fantastic, and they didn't use any cues from that. Now it's either contractual or
I would imagine Kamen didn't let them. But then again, normally when it's owned by a studio, they normally keep the score anyway because it's under their rights and copyright.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I mean the soundtrack. I own the soundtrack to this. There's no Michael Kamen stuff in there whatsoever, which is really sad because it was fantastic. Largely the soundtrack is Argentina, where that dam was, but largely the soundtrack was not non-remarkable, pretty shite really. And again, we can see here we've got Michael Kamen, the Highlander training theme. If you look at the other film music that we've got, it's all individual stuff. I mean, there's a Stuart Copeland track there, which is obviously he was involved in some of the soundtrack for the third film. But generally, apart from the Götterdämmerung that we've got by Richard Wagner, the rest of it is all pretty much off the shelf 1990s.
And I think that's another reason why it doesn't work. You'll often find that a film that's got a shit score normally ends up being a shit film anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's the score that takes you into the film.
Absolutely.
Case in point, Halloween.
Yes.
Where when that film first came out, when they first screened it, they had no score to it. And
the John Carpenter score,
they said it was shite, that people hated it.
Yeah.
So Carpenter went, alright then, let me go back and do a score. But he wrote it in 3 days and recorded it and put it onto the film.
What really makes that score as well, apart from that,
it's the very big notes.
But underneath it is that.
Oh, fantastic.
It's very much like Tubular Bells as well in the way that it sounds.
I think it is.
Which is close to The Exorcist.
Carpenter just does some brilliant scores. I mean, I loved his Escape from New York score.
Yeah.
Admittingly, he kind of jazzed it up for his Escape from LA one, where it became like a rock and roll version.
Yeah.
Because they turned Snake Plissken into that. I've got to wear a great big black leather coat now, which was
that was very 1994.
Yeah, it was very much at the time. I mean, I still quite like it though. That's one of my guilty pleasure flicks. LA.
Yeah, because Escape from New York's wicked. Escape from LA was a bit shite.
LA's shite, but you still like it just for the fact.
I love Escape from New York. I own the soundtrack to that as well, and it's a gorgeous soundtrack.
Oh, it's brilliant. Anyway, I mean, some of the scenes in that are some of my favourites, where it's all going shit for him, and he'll just he picks up that chair off the floor, puts it down, and just sits down like to say, "Oh,
it's like get a fag, sit there." And
you know what I mean? Yeah, I like that kind of shit. It works very well for
brilliant. So we've gone on far too long talking about other things, but hopefully that's brought a little bit of extra insight into this film.
Hopefully it's been more entertaining than the actual film itself.
Yeah, definitely, and also maybe it'll if you haven't already seen the original Highlander 2 and you jump straight to watching the Renegade cut, now would be a good time for you to go back, do a bit of revision, watch the original Highlander 2, The Quickening, and you'll notice huge differences, but ultimately the bottom line is that both films sadly are shit. I think it's kind of like this Highlander 2 film is a prime example of that old saying, which is you can't polish a turd.
Absolutely.
So you can't improve something that is already shit. You know, unless they went and reshot the entire thing, they couldn't have done much with it. So, but for me, that's everything from me. I don't know. Thanks, guys, for listening. But if you've got anything you want to say at the end in terms of the film or particular acknowledgements or
not really. I mean, I feel like I need a shower after watching that. To be totally honest with you, it's one of those type of films for me. You know, it's not. I think I probably liked this film when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know, I probably really enjoyed it. But revisiting it 10, 15 years later, you kind of go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, why did I like this back in the day?
It's kind of like a sort of a smorgasbord of concepts, wasn't it? All that sort of music
it had some
videos
good
all stuck
ideas
together.
and stuff like that, but then evidently the studio got involved, sent notes and stuff like that, which was very much what the studios do back in there, where they say, what the fuck are you doing? I want this to happen. Or because somebody had an idea, who was a studio exec, not a writer or a director, just sat there and went, you know what I think would be a really cool scene? Let's have Sean Connery standing under a great big fucking fan, warbling on about some bollocks that nobody cares about, and sit there going, I've got to put my hand up like this and use my quickening, whatever that fucking means.
Exactly.
Personally, you know, Sean Connery has notoriously got a big wang. He might as well just whipped that out and smacked it into the fan. It would have stopped on its way anyway. You know, it'd have been more believable than the shit they showed.
That would have been called something like the thickening instead.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's not a katana.
The dickening.
The dickening. You know, that to me would have been more believable.
Yeah.
My final say in this film is I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I will watch the third one because I like the third one. Go and watch the third one, everybody. That's fantastic.
The third one's really good. It's not brilliant, but again, the soundtrack to that one is much better. There's a lot of Stuart Copeland and Michael Caine and stuff in that.
Absolutely, because they reused it and did it again. And once again, you know, they learned the lesson with the second one. I think Malaki was very disappointed in this film as well, and that's why he didn't return to come back for the third one.
Yeah.
You know, he obviously went, what the fuck? It wouldn't surprise me if he got the blame for this film.
Probably so, poor fucker, but it's his own fault, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
But then again, as a director, he did a good job.
He did. He did what
well.
he needed to do, but he was working with a script, and I've said it before, it looked like somebody wiped their arse on it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, was it even a Panzer and Davis production? Was it? I don't even remember seeing any of that. Maybe it was, but...
Well, whatever they did, it just didn't work. They couldn't save it, I don't think. It wouldn't surprise me if the third one was to make up for this one.
Yeah.
But by that time, they were whipping a dead horse, you know, and obviously the films declined as they went through.
Yeah, they did.
The second one obviously was pathetic. The third one showed promise, didn't do as well, but for them, for some reason, and because of the success of the film, the TV series which came out, with Duncan MacLeod, with Adrian Paul.
Yeah.
You know, then they went, let's make another film. When they tried to run off the back of it, but it was more like a TV film again, so it didn't have...
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And
was that Endgame, was it? Or was
it was Endgame, wasn't it? And then they did The Source and...
Yeah, The Source is an absolute fucking stinker.
You know, it just basically shit on the franchise. You know, it's kind of like the declining sequels, like RoboCop 3, and Batman and Robin.
Christ, yes.
Let's go back to Halloween 6, 7, 8.
H2O and all.
I liked H2O.
Actually, H20 was pretty good.
H20 really took it by the horns and said, let's go back to what we originally did.
Is that like a hospital in there or something?
It's a school.
Oh, it's a school.
It's a school. The hospital was a sequel. That's the first one.
That's it. Halloween 2 is the hospital. She's in hospital, isn't she? He comes looking for her.
But then it just went progressively.
H20 is good because she beheads him at the end, doesn't she?
She does, and then obviously the film did really well because originally it was meant to be a bookend, wasn't it? The end of the series.
Doesn't she finally get to the bottom of the fact that he's born of this thorn rune, isn't he?
She doesn't mention it in H20.
Which one's it that mentioned in?
Remember.
Thorn is mentioned in one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's in the one afterwards. Because
I thought that was pretty good. The fact they talked about Thorn and the fact he was some kind of demon spawn type thing that has this root of evil, and and as part of it they kill their parents or something. It's a kind of recurring.
I think that was done later because it wasn't in H20. It was obviously in the Resurrection film.
Maybe
so. She gets killed off at the start, doesn't she?
Yes, so, that's it.
You know, if I remember correctly, she does a wonderful bit of acting. Jamie Lee, fantastic Tix Curtis actually does that.
Trading Places. I'm sorry, people. If you're still listening
True
to
Lies.
This is supposed to be
Highlander. Dancing in True Lies.
Oh.
You know,
isn't she in like a little black thong or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, that film came out in what, 95, 96.
Yeah, sure. Her body was amazing.
You know.
God, yeah.
That'd be what you're going to hear in
That's definitely a packet of Kleenex.
Ruined by Arnie looking on, but you know. You know, he's sitting there going, "Go for it, Adie." Well, that's what I heard in my head anyway. So,
yeah,
you know,
smashing out several to that, and her tits in Trading Places
are amazing.
are amazing.
She, for me, probably has the world's greatest parodies. Her and Madonna. Madonna's got great tits. Anyway, we're kind of going off here.
We ought to do a tits podcast where we're just looking at scenes and rating the tits.
I'll just look at them. Look at the way they bounce. I love it. Anyway,
hers are natural.
Absolutely. Amazing.
Jamie Lee Curtis's were big, natural. Didn't she do a film called Body Heat or something with John Travolta as well, about dancing or something?
I can't remember.
And she's in a leotard, and I think you see her tits in that as well. They're beautifully constructed. She needs to be congratulated on her titties, actually.
Oh.
Jamie Lee, if you're listening, you know, I know that you're quite old now, but you know, we love your tits, and we'd very much like to have a feel of them.
Yeah, sure, why not? So, we're going to wrap this up now.
all this podcast has been, it's just a platform for us to ask Jamie Lee Curtis.
We spent 2 hours working up the courage to ask if we could touch her tits. Okay.
We wasted all that time. It was just a vehicle.
That was it.
We can touch it.
So, thanks for listening, everybody. Join us again on the Grumpy Guide. I'm Adie.
I'm James.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, Christ. See you later.
See you, everyone.
Oh, fucking hell.